Hello everyone! Welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from Jackie HAK and he's in the Cleveland. Tier 8 US cruiser. Now he's on the map hotspot and unfortunately it's a standard battle. On the bright side, he is top tier and the carrier is only tier 6, so you know, might even survive this. So we already saw that the carrier tried one attack, but he was angled enough that the armor piercing didn't do too much, so that's good news. Now also he is near an island right now. Usually this would be a rather strong position because he could radar a camp here. Unfortunately it's a standard battle, so there are no camps. But at least he has some things to shoot. He's currently undetected. Okay, he's currently hydroed, I guess. Makes this a little bit more uncomfortable. But so far I don't think anyone is going to shoot him. Like, this Warspite could potentially lob shells at him. But, you know, he isn't. No, somebody's targeting him, but it's really, I think, just the Warspite that has shots. Well, I mean, there might be something that we can't see yet. Now the Graf Spee, the one who is probably hydroing him, is aggressively pushing here for some reason. And, well, the carrier tried a drop, but that didn't work. So he's loading armor piercing because, you know, the Graf Spee seems to be intent on coming around here full broadside for some reason. Graf Spee does have torps, so that might be a slight concern. Now Cleveland here has hydro, but so far it looks like he doesn't see a reason to use it. I mean, the Graf Spee has the torps rudder in the back and shouldn't really have an angle to torp him here right now. And it doesn't look like the Graf Spee will survive long enough for torpedoes to become an issue.
Destroyed an enemy cruiser.
So that was nicely done. That's a first blood, a few citadels.
All stations
And we'll see where we go from there. Now overall, there seems to be a reasonable distribution of friendly. Oh, the friendlies just lost the destroyer. But generally speaking, the friendly ships are reasonably distributed. And so far nothing much has happened, as we would expect in a standard battle. But, well, our Cleveland here doesn't have shots at anything currently.
Reporting the target position.
So he might want to consider repositioning. Now the carrier is coming in with some planes. Let's hope this isn't going to hurt too much. Of course, he's also spotted for that Nagato. Although the Nagato isn't really interested in shooting him. And it looks like he actually shot down all the planes. I guess flak must have hit. Because usually that's the only way to actually take out planes before they can strike. So he is trying to stop the Nagato from pushing, probably a wise move. If the Nagato pushes in here, he is going to be alone, and also more importantly, there is a destroyer somewhere. And again, I mean, for all I know, the destroyer is already in a flanking position and can torp the Nagato right now. Now it looks like the Warspite is coming closer, and finally there is a target to shoot at. Oh, and we found the Akisuki, it looks like. Well, Harry has found the Akisuki. Now at this point he could definitely raid. Then again, nobody has shots at it. I mean, it would help to keep vision on the enemy destroyer. Just so the Nagato can be prepared, but you know, maybe Nagato does have shots. Actually, hard to see. I probably would have raided here. But you know, he's probably waiting for somebody to have better shots at the destroyer. He could also consider hydroing, not for himself, but it might help with the Nagato. If he... I mean, the Nagato is relatively close, and if he can spot torps coming for the Nagato, that would help that Nagato dodge. Meanwhile, the Warspite is down, so that's lovely. And there is the Hydro. Now the Amalfi was basically already sailing outside of the radar range. It's
Torpedoes astern.
Oh, he's getting detected. And here is the radar. So yeah, the Amalfi has left the radar range, but the Akisuki is still around, and he's hydroing those torps, so the Nagato will hopefully be able to dodge. Also, he can get some nice lovely hits in the Akisuki. Now it looks like Akizuki is trying to leave this radar. Fortunately, there isn't really much that Jackie has to be worried about. Possibly the Amalfi, I guess, but it looks like the Amalfi is also not trying to shoot back. Also, the Akizuki managed to successfully leave the river. The radar is no longer running anyway, but keeps shooting. Now, of course, the problem with Cleveland is that you have a pretty long shell travel time, and destroyers are, well, quite maneuverable. And the destroyer can see the shells coming. So he's having quite a few troubles getting shell hits at this range. And it doesn't look like anyone else is that interested in a destroyer. Also, I guess he expected the destroyer to turn and not run towards the zone wall, but this destroyer is committed. Well, anyways, the destroyer lives another day, I guess. Well, there are more hits, so that's nice. Now, meanwhile, an enemy destroyer has snuck into the camp, so the most important thing right now is probably to defend. Now we have the carrier looking for said destroyer. Can't see a smoke here. Is the destroyer in smoke? I mean, if not, then the carrier should have no trouble. Oh yeah. So the enemy destroyer was briefly spotted, but it also looks like there is a smoke cloud there. Now it takes quite a bit of time to actually camp here. I feel like the friendlies shouldn't have too much trouble stopping that. Unless, of course, they, for some reason, would just sail away. Now, the problem is that the other flank has pretty much fallen, and it's not just a destroyer alone, right? There is a force pushing in, and there aren't too many islands around here that could serve as a reasonable cover for Cleveland. Now, he definitely wants to get close enough to make sure that destroyer gets taken care of to get into radar range, so he can't just stop where he is right now. I mean, right now, he would have a reasonable position to shoot the enemies that are pushing in, if they push a little bit further. But he has to make sure this destroyer gets taken down. Now there is an interrupt, there's also a fire, so that's lovely. And right now, the enemy's smoke might work in his favor. Or maybe not, he's detected anyway. But, you know, there is the radar. That's exactly what the friendlies need here. So the enemy destroyer is rather low. Hopefully he will get taken out there. Destroyer is also burning quite nicely. The North Carolina is also helping here. And for some reason the carrier decided to go for torpedo bombers. But, you know, I guess he wasn't needed to take out the destroyer. Okay, so the friendly camp is defended for now. North Carolina is down. Now the issue is there are quite a few ships around here. And our Cleveland here is rather alone. Well, there is a Gneiss now coming in from the other side. It might, I don't know, take the attention of some of those ships. Then again, I mean, Jackie has sailed outside of range of the enemy, so he got undetected. And yes, some more, like, in a situation like this, it would have been lovely if more ships went back here to defend. Especially since the left flank isn't really that threatened. I mean, you gotta consider, of course, if you fall back, you wanna make sure that you aren't getting surrounded. Or something like that. But it's not like the enemy had a lot of ships on the left flank. If they went back to defend, they would have been in a reasonable position, not really flanked, and they could help stop this push. And more importantly, the enemy in New Mexico and Nagato and maybe even the Amalfi wouldn't have been able to do that. Well, I mean, the Amalfi was good stuff. But the friendlies could be fighting this small force here with all of their ships and probably take them out, while the enemies would be in very bad position to do anything about it. But anyway, now the friendly carrier is attacking. Now the friendly carrier kind of dropped the ball on this, because let's just be honest, the enemy push has been happening for a while and the friendly carrier is still on kind of the right side of the map. Like, the left side was never really threatened, the friendlies kept this flank pretty much secure for the entire game so far. And the right side has been fallen for a long time. I mean, the Furious could be in A1 right now if you wanted to, if you'd paid attention. I guess you could argue the Akizuki might make a break through it, but is he really going to push up all the way north? So anyway, the friendly carrier is down. That's not good, because, you know, carriers can be rather important to win battles. I mean, at the bright side, it's only the 6th carrier, but still. Meanwhile, of course, Jackie here just keeps, you know, shooting stuff.
The enemy team has taken the
And there is another lovely fire on the Bismarck. So the Baltimore's coming around. That means he will get detected if he sits here and keeps firing. But the Bismarck shouldn't have any shots at him. The Nagato and the New Mexico there are pretty far away. Not sure exactly where the Gneisenau is right now. And well, there is the Baltimore. Oh, there is a Confederate. I guess that's with the fire that's still burning on the Bismarck. If that Bismarck succumbs to that fire, that would be amazing. But I have my doubts. This fire has been going for a while. At some point, he will have a heal or damage con ready. And I don't think anyone can attack that Bismarck currently. Meanwhile, oh! Okay, so yes, I was wrong. So the Bismarck's down, which is rather lovely. And he's got some decent hits against the Baltimore, but the Baltimore is now angling and retreating, which makes this a lot more difficult. Oh, there is another toasty fire. It's already set 13 fires this game, which is lovely, isn't it? Now the Baltimore is almost down, and the Gneisenau is conveniently still behind this island, so he is not detecting our Cleveland. Now the Baltimore is escaping there right now. Well, not really. Baltimore tried to escape there right now, but one more ship that just got burned to a crisp. So the Kraken's unleashed, unfortunately, despite the Kraken unleashed. There are a lot of enemies still remaining, actually. Besides Jackie, only one friendly ship has even sunk an enemy. I mean, yeah, I'm aware that he didn't do all the damage himself, the friend is helpful. But still, it's a rather impressive result from him so far, and it doesn't look like a win currently. But you know, I mean, there are still 5 minutes left. Now we have the friendly Nagato charging at Gneisenau. Obvious problem with that is that, well, Gneisenau has torpedoes. Now they can overmatch each other's noses. So there is that. But I have a feeling the Nagato might just be eating torps. Now, not only has the Gneisenau torps, the Gneisenau has its turtleback, so it's not gonna eat citadels, just penetrations, while Nagato in return will definitely eat citadels in a sail-by. There's a high caliber reward. And oh, there are the torps. Well, it looks like that. Did you get one torp hit there? Well, I mean, nobody's surprised at that outcome, but at least, you know, Gneisenau went down as well. So, it's 2 against 5. Now, the Kagero has found the enemy carrier. Of course, carrier versus destroyer is usually not in the destroyer's favor, although if they are that close and the carrier doesn't have much way to run, is kind of boxed in that corner, so those torps might very well hit. If the Kagero gets some nice torps. When we don't see any planes currently, interestingly enough, I would expect... I mean, the carrier knows that he's spotted, he knows that the destroyer must be close by, because the only other ship around is Cleveland, and the enemy team definitely knows where our Cleveland is. So, I don't know, I don't know, planes. Well, also, meanwhile, let's speed this up. Oh, wait, guess we don't have to speed it up, because an Amalfi just appeared. So while the Kagero is probably torping the carrier without any opposition, Cleveland versus Amalfi, none of them that... Well, I mean, Cleveland has quite a bit of HP advantage, I guess. Now, of course, he has to be careful, because one good salvo against a broadside can easily decide a battle such as this. But right now it looks like he is doing quite lovely there against the Amalfi now. Oh, the last salvo didn't do a lot. Now of course the enemy has torpedoes, so that's something to watch out for. I would definitely go high here. Yes, he agrees with me there. Not just the Amalfi Silos, obviously the Akizuki has too, so the cruiser has been taken out. Now all that remains is the destroyer, a destroyer with 136 hit points. So all he needs is basically one hit. Come on! Those shells are getting closer, and there you go. So the enemy destroyer almost managed to get in concealment, but only almost. Now this is a 2 versus 2 battle, but there is a very big issue right now. The enemy team has the points lead, and the friendlies are too far away from the cap to change that, and the enemy ships are not spotted. Now technically speaking, the Kagero could just hunt down those battleships given enough time, because the battleships have no way of spotting the destroyer. All they can do is sail away and make themselves as hard as possible to torp. Given enough time, the Kagero would just go into this cap and force the battleships to come close and then, win this way. But there isn't enough time. So, we can increase the speed a little bit while Jackie tries to get closer. I mean, if they sink one ship, that should be, well, if they sink one battleship, I think that should be enough. But there is 20 seconds left. He kind of needs to detonate this Nagata too. And this doesn't look like a detonation so far. There are still shells in the air. Nope. So this is a defeat. Now you wouldn't know it from the experience earned, because Jackie earned himself more experience than anyone on the winning team with 1,856. But unfortunately, it's still a defeat. He achieved a Confederate, a Kraken, a First Blood, and a High Caliber, scoring 191,000 points of damage and sinking 7 enemies, and it still wasn't enough to win this battle, which is kinda sad. But I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I'll see you guys next time.